All right, episode 34. Welcome to the show. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of tell people who you are and what you do here at San Diego State University?
Absolutely. So my name is Jose Esparza. I'm a veteran. I'm a spouse. My wife's active duty. I'm the school certifying official, former Navy, done 18 years total, active duty and reserve. So I do quite a bit around here.
So I really want to get into like different benefits and stuff like that, and questions that people have. But before that, I want to go back to, your beginning. Like, why'd you join the military? Like, where are you from, and why'd you join the military? You joined the Navy, so why'd you pick that?
Honestly, I just wanted to get out of Bakersfield.
Yeah. Oh, you're from Bakersfield?
Yeah,
I've never been there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure you probably passed it on the way to like Fresno or like somewhere up.
Yeah, probably
up north. Yeah, I mean. I think 9/11 motivated a lot of us. Mm-hmm. I'm one of the few people that came into the Navy, E1 to Master at Arms. So that's basically a police officer. So that's because of 9/11. So I specifically chose to become a cop because I wanted to, make a difference and help people out. Yeah. But primarily, I really wanted to leave Bakersfield. There wasn't a lot going on. It was a small town. It was like 150,000 people. And it was just horrible. I mean, the smell of burnt pennies is
really
the first thing you smell when you go in there. Yeah, manure and burnt pennies, because there's a lot of meth out there.
Manure and is that what it is? Burnt pennies?
Burnt penny smell, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
Did you have any family that was in the military?
No. I think my dad almost joined the Army back in like the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, but never really made it through. My parents were relatively young. Yeah. First generation, so I mean, they kind of just did the whole, hey, we're just going to work really hard and, try to move out to California and, make a lives for ourselves. Mm-hmm. That was basically it. I mean, they had 2 jobs apiece, my parents. So, yeah, they worked pretty hard. We were kind of latchkey kids growing up. Yeah,
me too. Kids nowadays, I don't know if they probably are still, I guess, but in a different way.
Yeah, it's completely different than now. I mean,
but now your parents can like track you on apps and like home cameras. They could tell you're at home and stuff like that. Before it was like maybe you call your mom to let her know that you got home, but other than that, it was just come home, unlock the door, and chill.
It completely boggles my mind. It's amazing how far we've come and how connected and yet detached at the same time that we are. It's just so crazy to me. Yeah, it's insane. My daughter's 11. And we just got our phone last year, and it's, hey, come and eat dinner. Hey, hey, I need you to come down here right now.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So it's always frustrating, but yeah, man, I completely agree. I mean, I don't know. I mean, for us, it was a completely different generation.
Yeah. My kid's 13, and he's on his phone all the time. He just saved up his money and bought a Oculus VR headset.
Oh my God.
So now I'm like, all right, man, you can't be like in that world all the time. Like, and I was like, you're going to be sitting around like doing this. The cool thing is I bought him a boxing game. So you actually have to get up and box and everything like that.
A little bit of movement here and there. Yeah.
It's better than like sitting on the couch playing Xbox. But at the same time, I don't like that you're like completely immersed. Have you ever tried one?
No.
Super wild.
I mean, it looks nuts.
It's pretty wild. I was like $400. I was thinking back, growing up, what was that Nintendo one? The Nintendo 3D or whatever the hell it was, maybe it was Nintendo VR, where you put your head up.
It was VR.
And it was all like red laser line kind of 3D weird stuff. This is nothing like that.
It's just, it's a different world, right?
Oh yeah. And when you put it on, you're looking around like, holy shit, this is like, it's too weird. It's too almost realistic.
I've seen the videos on Twitter where people put down that stick or that 2x4, and then they're just kind of walking across a tightrope between, like the Eiffel Tower and something else or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
I was playing a game where you have to. It's just targets. You're in like a shooting range, and they have like these like movable zombies and stuff, and these like normal like metal targets and everything, and you have to like draw and load and shoot, and then and unload, and then like reload and cock it and everything. Like it was actually really frustrating to play at first because you're used to just being a video game where you just
shoot off screen or whatever.
Yeah, it's super weird, but it is different now than when we were growing up. At what point were you like, was 9/11 like it? That was like, man, okay, I'm joining the military.
It was a very interesting point in our life. I mean, like I was telling you earlier, I mean, my parents are first generation, so they were born in Mexico. Yeah. They grew up in the United States, so for all intents and purposes, they're basically American. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time I ever saw my dad kind of have this really strong sense of like nationalistic pride. Not that he'd never displayed that before, kind of, ever talked about it. He would always tell us, hey, you guys are really lucky. We live in the United States. It could be a lot worse. But after that, I was like, oh man, I can't believe it. Like this really affected him. I mean, it affected all of us pretty, differently, but
Yeah.
I just never anticipated that from him. And it kind of set some wheels in motion for me. I mean, I think for a good number of people, the military is somewhat of a curiosity. And you just kind of, you just don't know what you don't know. So you kind of start going down that rabbit hole. You start talking to people that maybe joined. I knew a couple people that were Marines that were on football teams that I was on. So they were visiting, and I talked to them, and a lot of them were just like deer in the headlights. Like, dude, you have no idea what's going on. I mean, like this is crazy.
Yeah.
And I figured, I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. And I went to the Marine Corps recruiting office in town, and I was like, I just went on my own volition. Walked in, I saw some guy that was like really short and stocky, kind of Latino looking dude. He's like, hey bro, what's going on, man? Like he kind of gave me that real aggressive approach, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting. All right, let's kind of just walk through this to see what this is all about. So he just kept going on and on and on about the infantry, the Marine Corps values and stuff, and then in the corner there's this pull-up bar. And he just kind of like runs over there like a goat on a haystack, just jumps up and starts knocking out pull-ups, and he's talking to me at the same time. And I'm like, this is surreal, man. So I walked out, and obviously in most places, the recruiting depots are like right next to each other, branches.
Yeah.
So I walked out, and just like what you imagine, there's a Navy guy in a uniform smoking a cigarette, leaning up against the wall.
What's up, man?
Yeah. Hey, dude. Did you talk to Larry? I'm like, who's Larry? It's like, yeah, that super aggressive Marine Corps dude over there. And I'm like, oh, yeah, dude, he's kind of weird. He's like, hey, you going to join service? And I was like, yeah, I was thinking about it. He's like, let me tell you a couple stories. So he kind of just walked me into his office, and we talked.
Come with me.
Bit. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good recruiting technique.
Oh,
there are some dudes that are way too motivated in all the branches. And it's like, dude, that's kind of a turnoff.
Oh, yeah, dude, for sure. I mean, I met so many guys on active duty that were super moto, and I'm like, how do you
maintain?
How do you keep that up, man?
Yeah, I've known quite a few guys that are like that too, especially when they come back from the drill field. You get a lot of dudes that come back from being drill instructors, and they're just like, bah! They
super intense.
It's like, dude, you got a PTSD from the drill field. You got to let it go a little bit, you
gotta slow down, Turbo.
So when you joined the Navy, did you opt to come in as a police officer, or did they like talk you into that?
Yeah, I actually went in and I did a little bit of research on my own and kind of poked around, asked some people questions, and I took the ASVAB, and I did pretty well, and I was kind of surprised actually. And they're like, yeah, man, I mean, like, you have really good scores. You could do basically almost anything that you want besides nuclear. You got to get a waiver, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, all right, cool. I want to be a cop. And they're like, what? What do you mean you want to be a cop? This doesn't make sense. I mean, like, you have your pick of the litter. You could do whatever you want. And there's a chief, an E7 that was kind of sitting in the corner. She kind of was listening to our conversation. She's like, why the hell do you want to do that?
Why not?
Yeah. Why? Well, I was like, I don't know. Why not? I like cops,
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. I mean, we grew up in a bad neighborhood, and a lot of my early encounters with police officers were not the best. Police officers weren't the best.
Really?
Yeah. It was pretty rough, and I just always thought that being a cop would be, a means to an end to help people out.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't regret doing what I did. I really enjoyed it. I actually got to be a cop when after I got done with basic, went to training, and got to Japan, and was able to kind of do my thing out there. I mean, I got to do a lot of cool stuff.
Where's the school at for MAs?
So when I joined, I think I was part of the second wave of MAs that were allowed to be E1s through E3s. Okay. Previously, you had to be an E4 with an exceptional evaluation and a letter of recommendation, or an E5 with 2 consecutive evaluations of a 4 and above.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was pretty standardized back in the day, and 9/11 happened. The need for force protection and anti-terrorism measures grew, and the Navy implemented it. It basically opened it up for a lot of us booters. and we're among the first, and God bless us.
What kind of things do you cover in school?
So anything that normal police officers would basically do. I mean, defensive tactics, law enforcement, general law enforcement, traffic stops.
Yeah.
Anything from like an RFI to, just stopping somebody, asking them a couple questions to, sexual assaults and, mass shootings and stuff. So,
dude, I always wondered, like, police officers on base have got to see some wild stuff just because of the wild personalities that, come in the military, and just a whole diverse group of people and like experiences and stuff like that. Like, everything's extreme.
On CONUS is completely different, man. DOD runs everything. There's concurrent jurisdictions, and there's a lot of red tape and bureaucracy when it comes to the actual CONUS component versus OCONUS, which is anywhere overseas. When you're overseas, you are the definitive, like, hey, I mean, at least it was like that in Japan. I'm not sure about other places. My only experience is just from Japan. But even there, I mean, yeah, we dealt with a lot of crazy stuff, dude.
What part of Japan were you sent to?
Sasebo.
Were you like pumped that you were getting to go to Japan?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was pretty lucky. I got to pick, I think it was either like Spain or Japan. And I just wanted to go to the farthest corner in the world. And I was like, hey, man, I'm ready to go. Like, just send me. I'll go to Japan. And my buddy's,
why not?
Yeah, my buddy's like, you're an idiot.
Dude, I don't get it, man. I love like experiencing different cultures like that. And that's like an intense culture from, working with Japanese soldiers. I've never been to Japan, but I've worked with Japanese soldiers here in the States and stuff like that. And it's an interesting culture. Like, it's just the way they are,
It's night and day, man. It's night and day. Everything is about saving face and like customs, tradition, rules. Everyone kind of has their own set standard and hierarchy. It's really weird because, I mean, you're coming from like a Western culture where, everybody has like these inalienable rights, and everybody has a voice, everybody voices concern. And in Japan, everything is just kind of bogged down a little bit. There is some resistance. I mean, obviously generationally from like younger generations, they've kind of pushed back on a lot of those, I guess not necessarily antiquated, but just older, cultural models of living. But by far, it is probably one of the most interesting cultures ever. Discipline and the experiences that I had while I was out there, incredible, amazing food.
Were you on mainland, or is that an island somewhere?
So Sasebo, Japan, is the farthest south you can be in the mainland chain of islands. I guess. It's close. I believe it's close to the Korean side.
Okay.
So it's kind of protected. It's a little protected harbor. It's actually, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, it's the place where they radioed Tora Tora Tora.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The actual command building where the CO is. In the basement is the old radio setup. And
it's still there?
Oh, yeah. Super creepy.
That is weird.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Do people come to see it like very often? Or is it just one of those things like oddities that you...
Yeah, it's just an oddity. You're kind of like driving around Japan. And Japan's like super old, right? I mean, you're driving around town and you see these old relics from, World War II just kind of sitting out on the beach. There's a gun turret there and you're just like, oh my God, this is still here. It's not protected. Nobody's messing with it. I mean, there's not even a bit of trash around. If that's here in the United States, I mean...
I've heard Japan's super clean.
Yeah, it's super clean, super nice. I mean,
guys talk about it like the biggest problem with Japan that people have is just getting there. And then once they're there, they're like, dude, they're like the kids start walking to school on their own when they're like 6.
Yeah.
And
nobody messes with them.
Yeah, and they were like, if you're a parent and your kid is like older than that and you're bringing them to school, they kind of look down on you like, what the hell are you doing?
Like, why are you coddling your son or daughter or whatever?
There's parents here that won't even let their kid walk to the bus stop by themselves.
I mean, would you?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, your son's what, 13?
13.
Yeah.
He's about 2 years into jiu-jitsu.
So he can take care of himself.
He's not. He plays a lot of video games, but I also make him do other shit. Get outside.
I'd be more worried with them like finding their way home. It's just, or for that matter, getting hit by a car. Stepping off the curb, being on their phone, and.
Well, I would hope he wouldn't do that, but
what's happening.
Yeah, kids are walking around with him, but I mean, he walks already. His mom takes him, drops him off at his buddy's house, and then him and his buddy walk to school, which is about a mile, but it's on base.
Yeah.
And it's one long road. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But, yeah. So, what was, like, the biggest culture shock for you when you got to Japan?
That's a good question. I mean, I kind of popped into the environment pretty quickly. The hours sucked. I mean, like, our work hours were terrible.
Were you on a ship or were you
No, I was
land-based?
I was on the base.
Okay.
So it's kind of like we showed up and they weren't really expecting us to show up, and we just did, and they were like, "Oh, I guess we got to find space for you guys." And
Oh, really?
yeah, they kind of just shoved us in a corner, in like an old condemned barracks for a couple weeks, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got this brand new barracks. There's nobody in it. Do you guys want a space in there?" Like, yeah, of course we do. Come on.
No, we'll stay over here.
Just sleep over here by the dumpster.
It's falling apart.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they weren't expecting us. They didn't know how to prepare for us. I mean, you got a bunch of E-nothings running around with a badge and a gun.
Yeah.
That's not a great environment.
That's kind of always been I've looked at that like, man, I don't know if I agree with that. I think I agree with the policy that you said they had before where you had to like we call it lap move in the Marine Corps. I don't know what they call it, changing rates or whatever in the Navy. But I definitely think you should be an older person going into that because a 19-year-old with a gun and a badge, pulling somebody over, like, I don't know. It's just, one, I feel like they can be easily intimidated. And two, I feel like they just don't have the mental capacity to be making smart, judgment calls on the spot. At that age, they're not developed enough. Yeah,
there was such a sharp learning curve. I mean, there was probably about maybe 6 or 7 of us in each section of 4. So I mean, total there's less than 30. So we all got teamed up with like E4s and E5s that have been there for a while, people that were cross rating. That's what we call it. So we had a little bit of a buffer, but the learning curve was really quick. There's a lot of stuff that we just had to learn right off the bat. We spent months and months and months on gates, kind of drilling each other with index cards so we could qualify patrolmen, so we can go out and like drive a vehicle on our own and stop standing post because it was the worst experience ever.
Standing at the gate, probably doing fucking gates in the morning.
Hours. You know what though? My favorite gig was always working. I think it was the 05 to 08 watching the main gate.
Oh, really?
Oh, I loved it, man. I love
when everybody's coming to work.
Everybody's coming to work because you're busy, right? I mean,
that's true.
Time goes by like that, right?
Yeah.
But my favorite thing to do was just to play games with the people coming through the gate.
Oh, what a dick! You're one of those dicks.
Amazing! It was so fun.
Like what? What would you do?
So we would always like do the repeater, like repeat things that they would say.
Oh, really?
Like, oh, do you know how to get to Popeyes on base? Oh, Popeyes on base? You sure you want to get to Popeyes on base? Okay, Popeyes on base. All right, let me see. And I just turn around. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's right over here on the right. Because, I mean, the base was, like, super tiny, and they just kind of sit there and look at me like, oh, man, you're such a jerk. And then just drive off. Have a nice day, sir.
Have a good day. If I'm going to stand here and be miserable, I might as well have fun with it.
Oh, it was so much fun. I mean, it was great to kind of, like, talk to people, have conversation, on days where it wasn't so heavy, like during the weekends, and we had to stand the gate watch, people would come through, and we'd have like a 5-10 minute conversation. Nobody would bother us.
Did you guys ever have issues with the local nationals?
No.
Because I know in Okinawa, there's always protest outside the gate and stuff like that.
The protest, they have such a really formal way of protesting.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, actually, to kind of like sit there and watch the spectacle of a professional protest.
Is that like every day?
No. Well, I mean, when I was there for about 3 years. I think I could remember about 10 protests.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, normally when like bigger ships would pull in, the no nukes would come out. They'd play the Darth Vader theme.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's so funny. Some of these folks just coming in and they yelling, no nukes, no nukes. And it was always on the day where they had an open base. So the folks would come in, protest, blah, 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 blah.
They'd let them come on base and protest?
Oh, yeah. No, not on base protest.
Oh.
They'd protest in the morning, go put their stuff away, and come right back in and do some of the shopping, some of the restaurants.
That's hilarious.
So they just come in and just hang out. And you're just like, hey, man, weren't you protesting for like 4 hours? And
What's like one of the biggest things that you were surprised by being a police officer in the military? I mean, master at arms.
The hours were bad. I mean, we worked a lot, but the amount of pressure, I mean, once again, I mean, like you're 19, gun, badge, a lot of responsibility, but really, I mean, the pressure from your peers, because we were new to the Navy as a whole, and we didn't receive a lot of coaching, maybe, there just wasn't any time. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure you've probably had that experience before. You get there and you're just like, oh wow, man, this is really fast paced. We're kind of like depending on each other, and eventually, kind of that little link in the chain breaks, and that person is no longer dependable, or they're probably influenced by maybe alcohol, or maybe just partying, or maybe some other thing. We saw a lot of people get depressed. We saw a lot of people try to commit suicide. So some of those things were they were eye opening. I didn't understand it. Coming in, I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, man. We're all a brotherhood.
We're all in the fucking Navy.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. We're all going to hang out together, drink beer. Nah, man, everybody kind of isolated after work. And
really?
Yeah, we all had our groups. But as far as camaraderie goes, when you're like an on-base, like MA, you just kind of go to work and you go home. And
really?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of, if you're younger, if you don't have a family, I mean, obviously, you kind of stick around, hang out with the guys for a little bit, or you have your core group of friends.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if you're working on base, I mean, you put in your 12 hours, you dip out, you're done. You check out, you don't come back into work unless, God forbid, somebody's missing, a bullet count, or somebody took some ammo home or something, or a radio. Yeah, it's not like the camaraderie in the MA community is not the best. When you're on a ship, it's a little different.
Yeah, because you're deployed, you're underway, like you're doing your thing.
You spend more time together. You get to know people. People open up a little bit. You start to see kind of people start to fatigue and stress. And
did you ever have a problem with like other sailors not wanting to hang out with you because you're an MA? They're like, oh, fuck this dude.
Not really,
because we always hung out with the MPs that we worked with. Yeah, they were always cool.
I mean, you figure, if you're cool, you're cool. I mean, if you're kind of a jerk and you're a lone wolf, I mean, everybody can see that.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate where I was kind of introverted when I was growing up, pretty shy. But when I got to Japan, I was like, oh man, I'm going to go explore. I'm here for a reason. I'm going to go hang out. I'm going to find people that want to do the same things I want to do. I want to go to these different places, baseball games. I want to go to bars, hang out, go to restaurants. So I did my best. Yeah. So I made friends pretty quickly. And on the other hand, we had, guys that worked on our section that just, they kind of stayed in their room, played video games, read books, saved like $25,000 before they left.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So
did you travel a lot around that area? Like, can you travel from Japan to go to other areas in Asia?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people did. I kind of stayed local. I went up to like Tokyo a couple times.
What was that like? Is it pretty wild?
Wow. Yeah.
I've never been to New York City, but everybody says it's like an electronic New York City.
Yeah. It's kind of like living in a pachinko machine. You know what a pachinko machine is?
No.
Yeah, it's like some giant busy thing that lights up and has all these sounds.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's just people walking back and forth, running around, going nuts. And there's lights everywhere. Technology's everywhere. Technology's super prevalent there, obviously. I mean, Japan's kind of like at the cutting edge of all kinds of technology anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a camera phone in 2002.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And when I came back to the States in 2005, I'm like, hey, what's this brick thing? Where's my camera?
Yeah. I don't remember what kind of phone I had in 2005. Who knows? It's probably a Nokia something.
Yeah, the little brick phone.
Yeah, playing Snake, man.
Oh, man, dude, that was the best phone ever.
You get on there and play some Snake. Battery lasts like 7 days.
7 days. Yeah, you could chuck it through the wall and just, go ahead and pick it up a day later.
Then they started making like a waterproof version of them. Yeah. Remember when Sprint, what was it, Sprint and that other company where it was like the push to talk? Nextel.
Yeah.
People thought it was so cool. They'd be like, doo-doo. Hey, what's up, man? Where you at? Doo-doo.
Yeah. Super annoying. You'd be in the grocery line. People were like, hey, man, what are you doing? Doo-doo.
You don't have to make a phone call. You just have a walkie-talkie. Like, what the fuck is this?
That just makes sense.
I'm glad that went away.
I'm so happy it went away.
I had a few buddies that used it, though. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Fucking Nextel.
Did you make fun of them?
You don't know, man. It's like new technology. So you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
I told him I thought it was kind of dumb, but like that annoying chirping.
Yeah.
Because imagine that going off anywhere.
Yeah.
That's just like immediately people are like, what the fuck are you doing?
I mean, when you're sitting around like at the DMV now and you hear somebody's phone going off, ding, ding.
Yeah,
ding.
you're like, what up? What are you doing?
Hey, dude,
Vibrate.
stop being a jerk.
Put that shit on vibrate.
Put the ringer, take the ringer off.
There's nothing worse than being in class and accidentally having your phone just. I've been sitting in a lecture before, pull my phone out to check my Instagram.
Yeah.
And I'm like flipping through or something like that, accidentally touch one of them with my thumb and not realize the volume's not down and just boom, blasting some music like real loud. I'm like, oh shit, you know. You got a lecture hall with over 100 people and everyone just looks at you. You're like, what's up? Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I apologize. I got fat fingers and can't handle technology well.
That's the worst. So after you left Japan, or how long were you in? You said 3 years in Japan.
About 3 years, yeah. A little over 3 years.
What made you decide to like, all right, I'm going to keep doing this?
Well, so when I was in Japan, a lot of our work schedules were, it was pretty intense, right? So I wanted to come back. I actually wanted to stay overseas and just wanted to go somewhere different.
Yeah.
So order times, like a selection of orders comes up and I'm like, well, okay, well, let's see what's available. San Diego is always up there and, a couple other places. So I'm asking my buddies and I'm like, hey man, anybody know anything about Naples, Italy? And, nobody knew. Most of the people that were there stationed in Japan, had families and they were career, Japan sailors. So nobody said anything. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll just go there.
Check it out.
Yeah, I'm going to go check it out. So I select orders, get selected, and I'm about 3 months out from getting out of Japan, or maybe a little bit longer, 6 months or whatever. And I go out with my friends, and my buddy, raging alcoholic, gets drunk. I'm in the backseat of his car while he's driving.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. And we're going down the expressway with his eventual ex-wife in the front seat. So like an idiot, I'm sitting in the middle of the seat. I'm like, yeah, man, blah, blah, blah. We're like chatting, talking, smoking a cigarette. And windows are down. It's springtime, so it's still kind of cold. So the nice cool breeze on your face feels great when you've been drinking all night. And he's like, oh shit, I'm gonna miss the exit. And jumps off the curb and starts skidding down this roadway. And I'm like, hey man, just punch it and turn the wheel. Does it? Doesn't turn the wheel. It goes straight on to a giant a column, like a lighting column, and I get ejected from the back seat.
Holy shit!
Into the windshield.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah, into the windshield and completely wrecked my face, broke my nose. I lost a shoe. My shoe flew out of the window about 150 feet away from the car.
Holy crap!
That's how fast we were going. And we were in this big body car, probably about the size of this table.
Yeah.
Pretty relatively big in Japan. Pretty heavy car, really wide base. Thing looked like an accordion when we were done. There's a giant dent in the middle that looked like a hamburger bun. The windshield had blood on it from my face. And
dude,
yeah, it was nuts, man. Nuts.
You're lucky to be alive, obviously, dude. Well, that's crazy, man.
I'm pretty lucky, man. I've survived a couple of those instances, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah. It's
man,
not...
knock on wood, I've never been in a car wreck.
Yeah, you better hope you're not.
God.
I mean, luckily, I've been drunk, I think, twice when that's happened. So, I don't condone that, but, I mean, it's definitely a learning experience. It completely changed my life. I mean, I think...
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. I mean, for the better, really... Honestly, I mean, if it weren't for that, I'd probably still be in active duty, but I would have never met my wife and I wouldn't have my kids.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I like a little action, can change your life. Like the trajectory of your life can be completely different and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I was hanging out with a couple other buddies and they're like, hey man, we're just going to kind of walk back. I mean, do you want to come back to base with us? And I'm like, nah, I'm just going to go hang out with my friend, and I think it was like a Friday night. And I'd have to go to work until Monday. So I'm like, hey, I'm just going to spend the weekend with them. I don't want to go back to my room. And, had I just walked away, I would have been in Naples and I probably would have came back, probably would have deployed, be a different story.
Man. Fuck, dude. How long were you in the hospital?
I wasn't.
Oh, you didn't go to the hospital?
Not at all.
Because you didn't tell anybody, or because...
Bingo.
Really? Holy...
Yeah.
How you said your nose was broken stuff.
My nose was broken, so I still kind of have like a little dent,
Uh-huh.
like there in the middle. Had all kinds of glass in my face. And so basically, we get into this accident. We're in a neighborhood in Japan, and these people call the cops. The cops call the American police when they see, basically non-Japanese people driving cars.
Yeah.
So they call the base, and the base comes over, does an investigation. We left, myself and my buddy's ex-wife. And we were just literally a quarter of a mile away from this house. So we walked, They pulled me out of the car. I was unconscious. When I came to, I couldn't feel my feet. So.
Oh, man.
Oh, dude, it was nuts. My legs were kind of pinned back against the back seat because the whole two front seats were all the way back into my chest.
Oh, man.
And when I came to, I was kind of, doing a little, passed out face or whatever. And
yeah.
I came to and I was like, can't feel my legs. And I kept like pounding on my thighs, and I could feel that, but I couldn't feel my toes. And it turns out that we'd been sitting there for a while, and for like 5 minutes, and I just come to because I had a concussion. So I woke up, and I could hear my buddy's ex-wife screaming, and she was just screaming bloody murder, and I could hear kind of the hissing of the car engine still going, the radio was still on. I could hear my buddy moaning a little bit. I could smell, burnt tire smell.
Yeah.
And I could hear her just screaming. Rah! And I came to, and that's when I couldn't feel my legs, and I couldn't move.
Probably like, what is happening right now?
Oh my God, please.
Jeez.
I was like, I'm never going to run again.
And then you guys did everything you weren't supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Pulled you out of the car.
They pulled me out of the car.
Walked away.
Yeah.
So he stayed and basically hey, I got in an accident, and you guys just bounced, huh?
Yeah.
Fuck. Did you end up going to medical or anything?
No, I didn't go to medical. So what happens the next day is while I was in Japan, I had dated this young lady who was a corpsman. And I gave her a call in the morning, and I'm like, hey, I know you probably don't like me, but, I was in a pretty bad accident. Don't want to go to medical. I don't want to get in trouble. So can you just do a quick overview of my face to make sure I don't have, anything going on? So I go to her room, and my buddy's ex-wife comes with us. She was also an MA, and we go there, and she kind of looks us over, and she looks at my face. She's like, "You're such an idiot. You're so stupid."
You're like, thanks, I got it.
Okay, yeah, I'm not.
I realized that when I was pulling myself out of a vehicle that was crunched.
I realized that when I couldn't feel my legs.
Yeah, that probably didn't. Yeah, fuck. Yeah,
it was really rough.
That has got to be such a scary feeling.
It was not one of my finer moments, but God, I mean, it seems like so long ago, man. I mean, it's been. 15 years.
Whole another lifetime.
Yeah, it's complete. I don't even know who that person is. He's just some kid. He's just some dumb kid. And I don't even know who he is anymore. I mean, it's so crazy for me to believe that. And, even now as an adult with kids, a family, a mortgage, a wife, and all these different responsibilities, I keep thinking to myself and reminding myself, remember, you used to be an animal.
Yeah, I try to remember that when I'm disciplining my kid too,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be okay, I probably would have done the same thing that he did, am I going to get really mad at him or going to explain to him, I'm more of an explainer than I am a yeller. I don't like yelling. I try to explain why, I told my kid, I'm not getting mad at you. I'm trying to teach you so you don't fucking kill yourself later on in life, so that you're successful.
Don't you know that I went down the same road and I did the exact same thing that you're doing?
I got it. You're smarter than me.
Yeah.
I got it. You're 13. You're smarter than me.
You know the whole world.
Here's the deal, though. I know a couple things.
You're full of crap.
Well, I want to talk more about your career, but I know you're on a time crunch, so we'll probably have to come back and do another cycle, but because I want to get into school stuff.
Sure.
So let's talk about school stuff, and then if we have time on the back end, we can talk some more about your career. So
yeah.
What's your role here at San Diego State University?
Okay, so my role is the primary school certifying official. My official title is Veterans Assistant. So it's kind of it's a little vague as far as like assisting veterans. I don't assist only veterans. I assist military connected students at San Diego State. So my primary job and role is to ensure that students that are using federal and state education benefits get processed in a timely manner. So I try to give students as much information as I can regarding the use of their benefit, how to maximize their benefit, how to conserve benefits if necessary, how to, kind of navigate this whole benefits processing for them.
So what would you recommend to somebody that's, let's say somebody's in the military right now, or they're getting ready to get out, or they might be out and they want to use their GI Bill benefits? What kind of advice would you give them? Like for me personally, I would tell them, don't necessarily apply just to a 4-year university, go to a community college first. Yeah. Try that out first.
That's definitely a good piece of information. I mean, I'm a transfer student. I used the benefit myself a long time ago. I transferred from Southwestern, went to UC San Diego, graduated in 2014. Okay. So it's been a little bit, but I normally recommend that for a couple reasons. One, it's cheaper, so you don't have to use your benefit. There's a lot of things that could offset the cost.
Yeah.
BOG waiver or financial aid. A lot of people, unfortunately, here's a little bit of advice. Don't use GI Bill as your only form of income. That's highly encouraged. I wish I hadn't done that myself, but a lot of us don't know that coming out of whatever component that we're in the military. A lot of people just say, oh, I'm just going to go to school. It's that easy. I'm like, oh, it really isn't. I mean, once you go to school, you're there for a couple semesters. You want to figure out what you want to do. Normally it takes, an average student about 3 semesters to kind of pin down or narrow down what type of major they want to do. And by that time, you've gone through about a year of your benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good thing to go to the community college and not use your benefit there, only because there's so many services that the local community colleges, at least here in San Diego, can offer, and state and federal help that can kind of offset the cost of tuition.
That's what a lot of people told me, that they're like, I know one guy was like, I didn't even use my GI Bill for my bachelor's at all. He's like, I just got loans or not loans, but scholarships, financial aid, and, grants and stuff. So, it's possible. I personally, I've just been using my GI Bill because I've been trying to utilize my GI Bill. I am going to school full time and I'm getting the money from that. And it gives me like a buffer so I can kind of build this podcasting, my website, like all that other stuff. Absolutely. Like I'm bringing in income from my website. That's my main source of income outside of the GI Bill. But I can only do that because I have the GI Bill as like a,
right.
If something messes up this month,
I
still got money coming in,
And that's the common misconception, for a lot of people. They come in and they just solely rely on that GI Bill benefit. Cause I mean, we're accustomed to that. We're conditioned to that when we're on active duty. First of the month, hey, we get paid.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a hard thing. It's a harsh reality for a lot of people to kind of leave that lifestyle behind. For
that safety net of knowing you're getting paid on the 1st and the 15th.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I hear it a lot because my wife's active duty, and she tells me a lot about the knuckleheads that she has to work with, a lot of the junior sailor, and all they talk about is, oh, when I get out. And I'm like, look, like if I had one superpower, it'd be to give people perspective.
Yeah.
And just tell them like, hey, the grass isn't always greener. You gotta think about this, bud. You have zero skill.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot that outside of what you're proficient in the military. You have no formal education. And really, I mean, if you're going to go back home to the middle of Ohio, I mean, I don't want to offend anybody, but, what is there for you there?
Yeah.
What are you going to do there? Nobody's going to give you the $24 an hour that you're receiving now for, pushing a broom around for, a couple hours a day and doing some GMTs online. Nobody's going to give you that kind of money.
Yeah, I love guys that feel like they're overworked in the military. I'm like, all right, hold on. Until deployment, let me get, there's times where you are overworked and you put in a ton of hours. You put in a ton of hours, but it's like, how much work are we actually doing in this time? Yeah. How much of it is hanging out with my buddies?
Exactly.
But, I know what you're saying. The grass isn't always greener. It's this isn't bad. I like being on this side just because I like to make my own decisions. I don't want someone to come at me and be like, well, I'm in charge. This is how it's happening now.
Right.
You know, and obviously to a point, I'm in school, so someone's making decisions for me while I'm here. You know, so I have to listen to people while I'm here. So it is what it is. But I don't know. It's got to be a shock for people that don't really think about it and get out, and then they don't get paid, and they're like, oh shit. And I do see people that, whatever, they didn't fill out whatever document or whatever, and they don't get their GI Bill that month, and they like freak out. They're like, oh shit, where's my benefits?
It's the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's the end of the world.
How often do you see that?
Every day.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. Every single day.
And what's the main culprit that causes somebody their GI Bill to not, their benefits to not show up? Or
there's a lot of different factors. I mean, here at San Diego State, we have such a high volume of military connected students. I mean, we're dealing with over 4,000 military connected students a semester.
Oh, wow.
So that's inclusive of veterans, active duty, dependents, ROTC, National Guard, Reserve, anything that you could think of that has a military connection. Every semester, we're certifying anywhere between 1,400 to 1,600 students a semester. And that's my primary job.
And when you say you're certifying them, what do you mean?
Submitting their benefits to the VA for processing. So the collection of paperwork and the processing for that stuff, I mean, it takes a long time simply because there's only one person here that's solely dedicated to doing that, and that's myself. I do get some help from Vanessa. She's the part-time certifying official. But between the both of us, two people managing the affairs and the administration and the basic benefits and day-to-day operations for, an office that services 4,000 students is pretty difficult to handle at times. So there are times where we do get bogged down, and really, I mean, the process of getting people certified isn't as easy as people think. We have to go through degree evaluations, graduation requirements, making sure that people are enrolled in the appropriate coursework. I mean, this is aside from the evaluations in the admissions department who make these decisions for these students.
Yeah.
So sometimes, I mean, there may be a circumstance where an advisor will say to a student, "Hey, that course, it'll suffice. That'll fill that requirement." But realistically, when they're using benefits, I might not be able to certify that. So, trying to coordinate between the student and the advisor to send me an email or a letter often becomes difficult, and that's usually one of the things that kind of slows people down for processing.
So what you're getting at, and I kind of ran into this is something I didn't even realize until I came into school. I just assumed like, hey, I go to school, I get 36 months of school, like just go take classes. But I guess if you don't know that it's, hey, you pick a program and then you can only take classes out of that program. Now you're allowed to switch, right? You're allowed to switch majors. I switched after my first semester. First semester, I started out as business administration like a lot of people do. And then I was like, you know what? All roads lead to corporate America. And I don't know if this is what I want. So that's why I switched to journalism and advertising. So that way I could have two paths for myself.
Great major, by the way.
Oh,
I really like it.
It's fun. Yeah. It's fun. It's I went down to I had a project, a courthouse I'm taking media law and ethics, and I had to go down to any courthouse and watch a proceeding and like report on it. And I was like, you know what? The federal courthouse is down here. There's a couple of them. I'm just going to go to one of those because if someone's in trouble and they're at the federal courthouse, that's going to be cool. And normally, I guess you just go in and sit down and
just wait.
Probably super boring to watch.
Right.
I went in, picked one, didn't even know the case or anything, went in and sat down. The courtroom was huge. I was like, holy shit, this is huge. But there's only 2 seats in the gallery. There's only 2 rows in the gallery, but the actual, size of the courtroom was massive. I was like, holy crap. And I walked in, there's only like 5 people in there. Because no one actually, it's not like TV.
Nobody goes.
It's not a full packed room. And so I walk in, and obviously everyone turns and looks at me because they're like, oh,
hey, what are you doing here?
So I just walk in and look to the left and sit down. And then I thought about it after I sat there for a minute, like, oh, I'm on this makes me look like I'm on this guy's side. Then I start listening. He's got multiple charges for traveling overseas to have sex with minors. And he videotaped it. And he'd already been found guilty on a separate day. I was here watching. I didn't realize, like I said, I came in and sat down and watched him get sentenced to 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was like 50-something years old, never been arrested before, had a PhD, like all this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they found out he was going over to like Thailand or the Philippines or something like that. And
that's horrible.
Oh, And then I was like, fuck, I hope people don't think I'm sitting over here on his
I hope
side.
they don't think I'm on his side.
I'm over here shaking my head like this piece, like
you piece of yeah. Oh my God.
But yeah, so school's super interesting. But yeah, so I switched over to, my major, and that's when I found out like, hey, there's certain classes you may need this, and we'll have to word it this way so that you can take this class. I know it's a requirement. And I was at Miracosta College when I first started.
Yeah.
So I had to take. There was one class they wanted me to take at Palomar College.
Right.
And they were like, hey, you're going to have to talk to the benefits person there and do all this other stuff.
The whole coordinating of everything is just, it's a nightmare. I mean, it's as bad as it is for you, the student, it's just as bad for us. I mean, just getting the paperwork together and getting it processed and, having the right people sign it or approve it and then sending it off. It's almost a logistical nightmare in most cases.
Now, most schools most people apply to school in the fall, find out in the spring. So people are finding out right now, or they've already found out that they got into school or whatever. How far in advance, let's say for the fall of 2020, how far in advance would you recommend someone coming to the Veterans Center and sitting down with one of you guys?
Well, specifically for us, it could be as early as October. Of for instance, this past year, October of 2019 to fall of 20.
Before you've even fully applied.
Yeah. The good thing is we have a lot of resources here in our center. So that's the good thing. I mean, we have a lot of info that we can give a student to kind of walk them through this process. We have a military liaison officer. She deals specifically with the admissions piece. Vanessa and I deal specifically with the certifying piece. And we have other community partnerships and resources that we could provide the student. But primarily, I mean, it's 3 stages. I mean, it's the admission stage, the current student stage, and then basically, when they graduate and they kind of, move on from the institution as a whole. So Vanessa and I deal primarily with the current students and the benefits processing stage. We do try to overlap assistance with Holly and vice versa as far as giving students info about benefits on her end when she's meeting with students at different community colleges and vice versa when students come in to visit us. So really, I mean, asking the question at any time is always the best time. Starting
don't wait.
Don't wait. I mean, because you don't know what you don't know. Every school has a different admissions timeline than other institutions. I mean, even Cal State Long Beach may have a different admissions timeline. CSU Northridge may have, I know that their veteran services people can admit students pretty quickly. So I've seen it happen. And unfortunately for us, it's a little bit more of it has to do with impaction. There aren't enough seats, so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's a popular school in California.
It's really popular.
I think they said this last year there was over 90,000 applicants, and then the school size is 40,000 people total?
Yeah, for 5,000 seats, man.
Yeah, 90,000 applicants for 5,000 seats for the freshman class.
Yeah, the great thing about San Diego State is even though it is a popular school, there are a lot of services directed to our people that are transitioning out of the military. Direct admissions for our Marine Corps, Navy, and Coast Guardmen. That whole program is amazing. I mean, we have a bunch of students here that were presidential admins and direct admins from the different services. The only one that doesn't have one specifically direct admission is the Army and the Air Force. But those other 3 branches, I mean, the students that are here now, they're accepted with any credit that they have already. I mean, they could be anywhere from a first-time freshman with like 3 units worth of credit, or they could be a transfer student. And they're just admitted directly into the institution by the good graces of the Navy, Marine Corps, the Coast Guard.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a great program. Not a lot of people know about it. I've been fortunate enough while I've been here to kind of find out the inner workings of that program. And, in my other career as a reservist, I've been able to kind of disseminate that information along the board.
Yeah, that's one of those things I try to explain to people that are still in too. Because people hit me up on my Instagram and stuff like that, and ask for advice about stuff. And I'm like, you know what? They'll be like, oh, I talked to my captain or I talked to so and so, and I'm like, the thing is that none of the people you're talking to have left the military yet. Yeah. So none of them actually know.
Exactly.
They're all making assumptions, and they're all thinking about what they were like before they joined.
Yeah.
And it's just so you definitely have to reach out to somebody that's left the service and has taken the path that you're kind of looking at. And college is a huge one for people. People also use their GI Bill to go to trade schools and stuff like that. I had my buddy, if you can use your GI Bill at the union here, and they'll pay you BAH while you're going through your apprenticeship. I don't think it's a good idea, but that's just me. I think it's better for school. But I tell everybody, I'm like, man, if you're not using your GI Bill for anything when you get out, I don't get it. It's such a waste.
Yeah, and I mean, even now, I mean, like with the passing of the Forever GI Bill, for as long as you have benefits on the table, you could, you don't have to necessarily go out and start using it immediately like a lot of us did. When I separated in 2008, I had 15 years. You
can use it to get certification,
right?
Different professional certifications. You can use it to just get a hobby.
Yeah.
Community college, learn how to woodwork and get paid to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a very useful tool. But it's meant to be that. It's a tool. It's not something that will sustain you for an extended period of time. It's a training tool.
Yeah, exactly.
That is absolutely at its core. It's a training tool. It's a good way to get you back integrated into society. Give you some more skills. Give you a jump on life. I mean, joining the military is kind of like ascending into the middle class essentially. So taking this option and going to school and investing in yourself, I can't stress it enough. It's absolutely necessary for.
It's such an amazing benefit, especially in a time when everyone's complaining about having to deal with student loans and stuff like that. It's like, dude, that's not even an issue you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Like they're living in a different world. I don't even get that. Like that sucks.
Yeah.
But you should have joined the military.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we struggle for a couple of years, man. You have good stories, and
And the funny thing is that it doesn't matter if you do 4 years or if you do you retire. Like you still get the same benefits.
You still get the same amount of time.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was like, you know what, man? Like that's why I hit 12 years and I got out. I was like, I've done everything I think I'm going to be able to do. That's super cool. Like from now on, it feels like it's just going to be administrative and like bullshit. And the wars are ending and stuff. I was in the Marines. I was like,
yeah.
I would much rather go back to Afghanistan than go back on ship. I don't know how Navy guys do it. I don't get it. But
yeah, I mean, it's always interesting with when you talk to people that have served, you just get used to things.
Yeah,
you just kind of like you're like a barnacle on the side of a ship or like moss on a tree. You just start grow with that space.
Yeah. But so what kind of tips do you have to like maximize your benefits? Like I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna go to school full time. What do you recommend for me to do to like maximize my 36 months of education benefits?
Well, you have to start early. I mean, there's so many services out there that could help you as far as establishing a good understanding of what you want to pursue as far as a career. If that entails training, if that entails formal education, like an institution of higher learning. So figuring out that aspect is the most important because that'll kind of set the pace or precedent for what you want to do next. So figuring out a career is probably the most important. How am I going to get to that career?
Yeah.
Do I need a bachelor's degree? Do I need a master's degree? Can I just get by with a certification? Do I have time to go to school? I mean, do I have a family? People have to take their circumstance and situation into account first and not mimic other people's circumstance and situation or their path because it may not be the case. So if you're coming from, the Marine Corps and you've only been infantry and you want to be an engineer, there's a long road ahead. There's a lot of training that you're going to have to do, formal training if you want to pursue a career like with Northrop Grumman as a mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
So, kind of understanding that path and, understanding whether or not you could actually attain it based off of your circumstance, your situation. If you're going into a stable environment after you separate, that's very important also. So those are some of the things that people don't take into account. I mean, everything's all, hunky-dory, I guess. When you're getting out, you're super happy, you're elated. You file for unemployment. You're like, yeah, man, 6 months I'll be kind of hanging out.
I never did that.
Yeah.
One of my buddies gave me shit about it. He's like, dude, what the fuck? That's free money. And I'm like,
it's not free.
It's not free, but and plus I think I only would have gotten it for like a month or two because I went right into school.
Right.
And I don't think you can't do it while you're in school, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. But I mean, a lot of people have these perceptions about, you have more than enough time. You do have time. You have time, but figuring those things out as soon as you can, as soon as when it's feasible for you as a person is important. Because once you figure those things out, it'll give you a good idea of where you need to go next.
What majors here at SDSU do you see veterans struggle the most in?
Everyone. Every single major, yeah. I mean, it's across the board. People struggle a lot of times in engineering specifically with the basic foundations of math.
That was the worst. Math is the worst.
It's not easy, man. You gotta. It's like working out. If you're not a good runner, guess what? You need to start running to get better.
I tell people it's like learning a foreign language. It's all about repetition.
Yeah.
And I just don't like it.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, it takes a lot of discipline.
I took college algebra while I was on ship on deployment, and I'm glad I took it there. I couldn't imagine I imagine it would be way worse if I took it here, but yeah, I am not a math person.
Yeah, I took statistics at Southwestern 10 years ago.
Yeah, I took business statistics up at Maricosta. It's I probably had it a lot easier than you because they let us use Excel for everything. You're probably
really?
handwriting all the fucking formulas.
We hand jammed everything.
Oh my God, that would be miserable. Yeah, I'm not a math person, but there are some people that just get it.
Yeah, some people get it.
And just get it.
And the people that figure that out, that understand that about themselves. It's self-efficacy and all those, fancy words. But if you know that, hey, I have this general propensity for math. Like I could see numbers in my head. I could process something quickly. Then, hey, maybe the STEM majors are for you. Yeah. Maybe you can do that. Maybe you can be an accountant. But if you know for a fact that you would much rather read a book or, kind of write, certain ideas down. I would
much rather write.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could bust out a couple pages in a day before I could sit down and do formulas.
Absolutely.
I would much rather sit down and write a couple pages and then, nah.
And once you figure that out, it gives you a good idea. Then at that point you can go and, okay, well, I think I want to be, some type of writer or, do something creative. Then go and ask those questions. You could start with people like me, school certifying officials. I mean, anywhere where the VA has approved programs, you can go there and talk to a school certifying official and ask them questions. That's usually the jumping off point. Go and talk to different institutions, ask them what's a popular program, what are some of the key factors in student success, how do you get into this program, where do you see students fail in your personal experience. I mean, some of those little pieces of information will kind of set the tone for your career at that institution, or maybe, move you in a different direction.
Do you have any involvement with vocational rehab?
Yes.
So can you explain that? Because I don't understand it, honestly. And so I know people that are still in the military, because I've been told that you can use up all of your GI Bill benefits, but if you still need follow-on training to get whatever certification or whatever you need for this job field, then you can then utilize your vocational rehab benefits, which are similar to the GI Bill.
That can be the case. I mean, VRNE or vocational rehab is kind of a gray area.
Okay.
And the reason I say it that way is the counselors that put students into plans for vocational rehab have the ability to approve certain things within their degree plan as long as they could justify.
Okay.
So anything having to do with the federal government, you have to justify certain spending. So in the case for VRNE students, vocational rehab, if you have this requirement for training, let's say I want to be an engineer, right? I've already used my GI Bill and I want to continue pursuing this, bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. If I go to a vocational rehab counselor, I've met the minimum requirements for that benefit, and that counselor meets with me, they're going to tell me, okay, well, how much time do you have remaining until, you complete your degree? Because technically, in most cases in industry, you only need a bachelor's degree as an engineer. Yeah. Depending upon what you want to do. Yeah. Usually, a master's degree is for people that are in managerial positions or maybe more technical aspects of a certain field. But nonetheless, when you get into that position and you speak to a counselor, they're going to make a determination based off of the evidence that you've provided, whether or not you are a suitable applicant to continue training.
Okay.
So you have to build your own case to those counselors and show them that you need this extra training in order for you to get through and then get hired.
Okay.
Because the vocational rehab is not an extension of GI Bill. It works in the same fashion in that we certify it the same way and that you get paid a certain amount of money if you have post-9/11 entitlement time remaining. But the last thing the VA wants to do is put you on an extension for a year and a half, 2 years, because you can't seem to complete your training. So the government always wants a return on their investment.
Yeah.
So you have to build your case and make that determination or enable that counselor to, approve you for a program.
What are some of the common like misperceptions that you get when people are coming to get that kind of stuff certified?
Well, the most common one is that we approve people here in this office, or that we're an actual VA office. So our Veterans Center is an office of San Diego State.
Yeah. It's
not in any way a part of the Department of Veterans Affairs. Mm-hmm. We work in conjunction with the Veterans Affairs Department. I mean, we're a partnership, but the VA as a whole, as far as when you're starting that process, you have to understand that it's a training tool, right? It's a get back to work tool. You're not extending your post 9/11 benefits, and the way that you qualify is by filling out the application on e-benefits and meeting the general criteria. People that have a 20% disability rating have been approved. People that have an 80% disability rating have been disapproved. It just depends on the individual, their circumstance, their training, and what their eventual goal or career is.
Can you use Voc Rehab before you use your GI Bill?
Yeah. You could definitely do that. A lot of, I believe, VRNE, Vocational Rehab, encourages that.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure why. I mean, like I mentioned, the whole VRNE aspect, vocational rehab, the counselors in the VA that actually does the processing for that is completely aside from the general benefits area.
Okay.
Post 9/11. So it's paid out a little differently. So it's a little bit more nuanced when it comes to the processing. So you can, come off of active duty and you file disability rating. You kind of, cross your T's, dot your I's, put all your ducks in a row, and you go forth and you apply for Voc Rehab. And if you get approved, I mean, you can start that benefit immediately. And a lot of people do that because they transferred post 9/11 to their dependents, for example.
Yeah, that was a big thing as I was getting out, and I think they made it where that's permanent now, right? Where you can continue to do that, because I know they were talking about ending that benefit where you could transfer it to your.
So there's the DoD sets forth the criteria for transfer, and it's based off of the service person's time in service.
Yeah.
The amount of time that they have remaining towards retirement, because my understanding is the implementation of the transferability rule was for retention. So it's a re-enlistment incentive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you had to do like 10 years.
Right.
I know when they first had it, it was 10 years. I don't know if it's still the same or not. Have you heard about the Montgomery GI Bill people, how they said that they just ruled in court that the government can't stop you from using both GI Bill benefits? Like if you paid into the Montgomery GI Bill, which I did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, did you? $100 a month for a year to get the full benefits or whatever. Mm-hmm. They're talking about letting you use that after you use your 9/11 GI Bill.
So
this is like a new thing. It was in the courts like within the last 2 months, I think.
Right. So I'm not completely aware of the case, to be quite honest, but I do know for a fact that everybody can use up to 48 months of benefits, right? Whether it's vocational rehab, the regular Montgomery GI Bill, MGIB, selective reserve, post 9/11 GI Bill. So you could use up to a max of 48 months. How that works out in your favor, it just depends on the way that you qualify for all those benefits based off of your active duty service time, whether or not you're a reservist, whether you have a disability rating. So there's a lot of factors that go into kind of making that determination. But I believe the ruling as far as using both benefits is you can, to my understanding, according to the VA, you could switch from one benefit to the other. So whether or not that's actually happening now, I'm not aware of, or how that actually works, because ultimately that's up to the VA to determine.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can say in that respect is when we have a certificate of eligibility for a person, let's say somebody that's using post 9/11 GI Bill, that tells me that that person's eligible for post 9/11. Whatever is listed as far as the amount of months is what I can see or verify, and I submit a certification to the VA. Whether or not that person has months remaining is up to the VA to determine. So all I can do is vet whether or not the courses that person is enrolled in are actually towards a degree. I can report the tuition and fees. I can change the amount of units that the person is enrolled in. So those things I can manipulate based off of, students' request or, maybe an administrative proceeding from the institution, maybe they're an unauthorized withdrawal, so on and so forth. So, but as far as using benefits in conjunction, to my understanding, you can use Post 9/11 one semester and Chapter 35, which is dependent education assistance, the following semester. Yeah, so I believe that's how the VA has identified that. Yeah, and it's always difficult to kind of give this information, only because it's not often clear.
It's not general terms. It's hard to speak in generalities when it's very it's situation dependent.
It's very nuanced, and that's one of the key things that I let a lot of people know when they're coming in. I'm like, you may have talked to your buddy about their benefit, but it's their benefit. It's not yours, because you may only have 70% of Post 9/11 where that person has 100.
Yeah.
So there may be certain things that person can do where you really can't, because you have to pay a certain amount of money out of pocket. So those are kind of the subtle nuances that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. And that's why oftentimes it takes me, quite a bit of time to get through certain certifications, because there's a lot of things that are going on. Because, an undergrad student is completely different from a graduate student, and a Post 9/11 student may have, not as much leeway as a Chapter 31 student, or vice versa. It just depends.
I'll say I don't know if I've been lucky or you guys are just good, because here and at Miracosta College, my benefits going through have been super quick. I mean, very really minimal work by me. Come in and sign this paper, fill out my classes, and that's it. Nothing crazy. So I've been very appreciative of that.
Well, thanks.
And I'm in the process now where I'm like, all right, how many months? I'm counting my stuffs, because I might apply to the USC. They have a Masters of Veterans program.
Oh yeah.
So Masters of Business for Veterans program. So I might apply for that. And I'm like, am I going to have enough benefits at the end for that? And I'm trying, for me personally, I'm saving my benefit time frame by taking at a minimum 5 classes. I take 5 classes a semester. I'm thinking about taking 6 next semester.
Don't do that.
I'm really considering it. And then I don't take classes in the summertime because I can't take 5 classes. There's not 5 classes that I need that they have over the summer schedule. So I don't want to I want to maximize my benefit by taking as many classes as I can.
Sure.
So that's my own personal situation. That's my own advice is for people is just to take as many classes as you can that you can handle. I started off, I did 4 classes. Then I took a 5th class. And then I'm like, fuck that. I'm not doing 5 classes again. And I came to SDSU, and my advisor was like, no, you have to take these 5 classes. And I'm like, I don't want to take 5. And one was Italian, my 3rd semester of Italian.
Oh.
And I was like, well, I made it through that semester, and my next one's not going to have Italian. My next semester's not going to have Italian. Yeah. So I can do 5 classes again. So I feel like I have a handle on it, and I might take a 6th class if I can do one online. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, that's why it's always tough for us to kind of advise students. I mean, for a couple reasons. Primarily, our roles are kind of a jack of all trades. I mean, we're pseudo advisors, pseudo counselors. We work with the VA. We are part of San Diego State as a whole. So a lot of what we do as certifying officials is we kind of touch on a lot of different areas. Yeah. So giving students general information is not always the best advice. Yeah. Because it just depends on the student's circumstance. That makes sense. I mean, there are some students that I've known that take 8 classes. And there's some students that take 3 classes. You know what I mean? Yeah. And by all means, the one student that I certified that took 8 classes, they did really well. Yeah. Yeah. I was surprised, honestly.
Some people have a natural. Was it a STEM major?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Because that'd be tough. 8 classes in a STEM major?
I don't think it was a STEM major. I think they were in the humanities, like psychology or something. Yeah. But, I mean, the workload,
it's a lot of papers. Yeah. You have to be able to write. Yeah. That's the thing. If you're not doing STEM, you're doing anything else, be prepared to write.
Outside of class, you're working probably 24 to 30 hours a week on stuff, reading and writing.
Yeah. Some people. Yeah. I don't spend that much.
Well, I was talking about that 8.
Yeah. For sure. Because they tell you, they tell you to double your credit hours, and that's how much time you're supposed to study for each class.
That's a good rule.
And it's tough. It's tough for some people. So I know you have a limited amount of time. So is there any kind of final advice or hey, this is some stuff I want to put out there for anybody that's listening?
Yeah, come in and ask. I mean, talk. I mean, stay engaged with the program. unfortunately, we could only reach out to a mass amount of students via email. And I don't know about you, but every morning, when I'm taking care of business, I'm going through clearing email. Right?
Yep. Yep.
So I'm afraid that unfortunately a lot of our information that's good info that, we're trying to put out to help students out, maybe kind of offset the cost of certain things. They're kind of just, swiping to the left a little bit, and we get it, until we could figure out a more direct method to reach a wide group of students. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm hoping that this, you
guys got to start the SDSU veteran podcast. I think that'd be great.
It's something that's been percolating in the back of my mind for a long time.
I think you should pitch it and make it happen, man. Yeah. It's an easy startup, and there's a ton of people. There's a ton of people on campus. You got 4,000, military involved students here. That's like, there's your pool of people to talk to, and everybody's experience is different.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea, and I've always been interested with it, and it's something that, I would love to start. And I feel like, that's one of the main reasons why I was really looking forward to doing this podcast with you, just to see just how it works,
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been listening to them for years, right? So,
yeah, you told me. You've been listening to a podcast for like almost 10 years.
For so long.
You're like an OG, man.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel that way, when I see a couple new podcasts on the horizon. I'm like, man, this guy sucks. Or like these people suck, or they're terrible, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, you kind of run into a lot of newer podcasts, different things. It's just this medium has grown, and it's grown like wildfire. Mm-hmm. And there's a great opportunity out there for everyone. It's niche, it's what magazines used to be in like the 1960s, right?
Exactly.
So
I learned in one of my classes that 47% of the population are aware of what podcasts are. Mm-hmm. So that means 53% haven't even been introduced to the medium yet, and so that means it's a growing industry. It's going to be kind of like the internet, I think, because right now there's almost 1 million podcasts out there.
Right. Yeah.
And there's going to be all this like influx of like podcasts and a bunch of really bad ones. And then we're going to hit a moment where some kind of regulation or something happens and all of them are shed away, and then you have a core group of like good ones and decent ones, But longevity for an SDSU podcast, like where would it come from? Probably interviewing like professors and seeing like their take on their field of study and stuff. I think it'd be super interesting. Yeah,
I think so too, man. I mean, my idea for a podcast would be to bring humanity to the lives of like our veteran and military connected students. We all have a bunch of stories that we love to tell, that we tell each other on a daily basis. And a lot of people have this. Maybe some people have a skewed perception of what veteran students are, or like our dependent students, for example. Oftentimes they don't have a voice. I mean, they're just normal students walking around campus, but maybe they have some amazing experiences.
That's exactly why I started this.
Yeah,
there's a guy named Jerry Geller that I interviewed. He's like on episode like 10 or 12 or something, 12. And he used to walk by my apartment all the time when I lived up in Oceanside. And I thought he was just some like old beach bum dude, and seeing him walking down to the beach. And my neighbor was like, no, I know this dude. He was an F-4 Phantom pilot in Vietnam. He got shot down. He's blind now. He got blinded from crashing into the jungle as he was being shot down. And that was him. He's like, that's the dude. And I'm like, no way. Like, this dude, you would think that's just some beach bum walking down the street.
Right.
Like, I don't even realize he's like 90 something, like over 90% blind. And he's just walking, like knowing where the beach is, and just, he should be using a stick, but he doesn't, because he's a fucking Marine, he's an asshole like that. But it's guys like that. You're like, if I hadn't have known, like I never would have thought that this dude did this crazy stuff. And you're exactly right. There's so many people.
I've been so fortunate in my position here to talk to different students from every single walk of life, and the amount of information, or just the storytelling alone, the experiences that some of these people have had is just amazing. You're pulling from a group of people that have come from all over the country, all over the world.
Yep.
It's such a diverse population, and to not, have them express, their feelings, thoughts, and ideas about certain things or experiences is kind of, it's a waste. It's just kind of just living in the back of their mind.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm recording people's histories. That it's going to be there for regular people to listen to, their families to listen to in the future, and stuff like that. I think that's like the big thing, is keeping people's history and like their own. Everybody's experience on Earth is different. The whole idea of perspective. I mean, what are we unless we know
or at least try to understand other people's perspectives. I mean, that's what we're here to do as an institution.
For sure.
We're here to give people a good understanding of what, this certain area is, or what this theory could mean, or what this idea should mean, or why it doesn't mean that, So asking the question why is, probably the most important thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Again, I'll have to have you come back on and we'll talk some more about your career and other stuff if any other education news comes out. And if you find anybody that has a cool story out here in the Veterans Lounge, point them my direction. I'll totally have. I'm trying to get out 2 podcasts a week now, so I could always use interesting guests.
Absolutely, man.
But if you want to put out your own social media or your email or anything, like contact info, that's on you.
Just the Veteran Center. I mean, sdsu.edu/veterans. I mean, we're very fortunate in that we've had a lot of people support us as an organization, as a group. I mean, we're just here trying to help out students as much as possible. For the students out there that are actually using our services, please continue to engage. Come in and ask questions. Bring your buddy. Bring friends. Bring people that are interested about the military as a whole, or even if you have a buddy that isn't involved in the military, or has no inkling of joining, have them come in. I mean, this is an office of San Diego State. This is an environment for everyone to enjoy. And at the very least, there's free coffee and snacks here for everyone.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's why I show up, hang out a little bit in between my class.
Yeah, the coffee's a little strong, but that's the way we like it.
That's how we do.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thanks again for coming on. Everyone can check out my website, jkramergraphics.com, and my Instagram is at jkramergraphics. And, yeah, that's it. Have a good day, everybody.